Broadcasting from the studios of Business RadioX, it's time for Advisory Insights, brought to you by Oberman Law Firm, serving clients nationwide with tailored service and exceptional results. Now, here's your host.
Welcome, everyone, to Advisory Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Oberman. Well, I want to talk about a couple areas of concern that we have on a constant HR process. I know I keep talking about HR, but I tell you, you solve your HR problem, you solve probably a substantial part of your headaches. If you're a small company, big company, startup, it doesn't really matter. So I want to talk about our world today as we know it. Interviews. Well, first and foremost, if you can get people to show up at your interviews, you're well ahead of the ballgame. I've never seen such ghosting issues in my life. I've never seen so many people not go to interviews. But yeah, and then one thing I've never seen so much of is questions to avoid. So we're going to talk today about interview questions to absolutely avoid. So there's a lot of things. What's illegal? What's legal? I want to keep things very simple, very, very simple. One, you better train your people to interview. And that just doesn't mean you have your HR person or your office manager, your office administrator, your C-suites conduct interviews. They've got to be, we got a script. Well, here's what they're supposed to say. I will guarantee you give them a script, they're going to go off script at some point. So what I want to do is first and foremost, I want you to review how you're interviewing people. What's the process? Are you properly training your people, your interview people, to talk to your candidates? Because I will tell you, we're seeing a rise of complaints in the interview process. Candidates are recording conversations. What do you do if you violate the law and you're on tape? You're dead in the water. So I want to talk briefly about a couple of things that you don't talk about. Well, actually, you know what? That's a rather large list. But let's hit it. Age. Never, ever, ever talk about age. Never bring it up. Look, all you got to do is do some research. With a good resume that's submitted, you can figure it out. I mean, this is not rocket science. Do the math. Don't ask, what's your age? How old are you? Citizenship. Again, take a look at things that are at your fingertips. You can't ask a person, are you illegal? Are you not legal? What's your citizenship? Where were you born? Where were you born? Criminal record. We talked about this on a previous podcast. It is becoming increasingly difficult with regulatory issues coming into play and the privacy issues regarding criminal background checks. I would urge that in your application process, you get the written authorization to do a criminal background check. If you forget and your interview candidate is right in your lobby and it's time to roll, if you will, get on the internet. Get on the internet. Do some research. Disability. You cannot ask a person what their disability is. There's even litigation out there that says that during the interview process, you have to accommodate those persons with potential needs. Speech, interpreter, sign language. Can't talk about family. Can't talk about gender. You want a bombshell? You ask a candidate whether they're male or female. Off limits. If they're qualified, it doesn't matter. Marital status. Are you married? Are you not married? Are you divorced? How long have you been divorced? Those are landmine questions. You ever served in the military? A flag. Stay away from that whole area. National origin. Stay away from that area. Parental status. How many kids you have? Are you expecting? Daycare. Are you asking these kind of questions, or are you beating around the bush? Now, what do you do if someone says that they have kids and they have children? How do you respond to that? You got to be really, really careful. Absolutely stay away from race, color, creed, religion. Why would you even get into those areas? They have absolutely nothing to do with a viable candidate with good credentials. You want to jump into legal versus illegal? You hit those areas and see what kind of trouble you get into. But the question I have is also, we're seeing a lot of problems. Residents. Where do you live? What part of town do you live in? What part of town do you live in? What subdivision? How long you live there? Where'd you move from? Where'd you grow up? Dangerous questions. Got to be really, really careful. So the question I have is this list that we just went: age, citizenship, criminal record, disability, family, gender, marital status, military, national origin, parental status, racial skin color, religion or creed, residence. Are these prohibited questions? Have you trained your team members who are doing the interview how to respond to these questions? If not, in this great resignation world that we live in, which started, by the way, depending on what commentary you listen to or read, started 2 or 3 years ago, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better that the experts predict in the near future. You got to have a policy in place to prevent this. You got to figure out what questions are good, what questions are bad. How do you open the door? When do you open the door? What do you open the door for? Who's opening the door? You got to have a policy in place. Again, we go through these brief topics, but yet these are the kind of topics that we discussed previously and now that can set you back time and hundreds and thousands of dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on Advisory Insights Podcast. If you need to reach out, if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call, 770-886-2400. Visit us on the internet, ObermanLaw.com. Send me an email, Stuart, Stuart, at ObermanLaw.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our podcast. Please keep listening to us. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you for joining us on Advisory Insights. This show is brought to you by Oberman Law Firm, a business-centric law firm representing local, regional, and national clients in a wide range of practice areas, including healthcare, mergers and acquisitions, corporate transactions, and regulatory compliance.